Okay, so welcome back to the art table. I'm going to be working in this journal, as I mentioned. It is just the closest book to my heart of all the books that I have. It's created just from a stack of sheets of paper and just bound only with really a string, or it's like a thick embroidery floss or a thin yarn, just tied and knotted at the top. And these pages were all created on giant sheets of craft paper that I collaged on one side and then wrote on the other, and then ripped apart and turned into this book. This system of creating a journal was designed by Lisa Sonora. I took a class from her online, which is where I learned how to create that book. So I can share that link with you if you're interested in learning more about it. But this book is never really done in some ways. Some pages feel done, like this page, which you might recognize from the first 30 days of art journaling, has stayed this way for a long time. Other pages, like these pages, are not done, but they've certainly been started. But every once in a while I just paste something in here or there, and maybe eventually it'll be done, but this is just a really personal book for me. So I'm going to be working in the middle spread, and I'm a little bummed because I gotta tell you guys that yesterday, you may have seen this in the Facebook group, I spent about 25 minutes working on this spread and went to pause the video to give the paint some time to dry before I came back to finish it, and discovered that the memory card was corrupt and it had not recorded the whole first session. So this is what it looks like now, but it's not what it looked like when it started. So just to give you a brief idea, you can see some of the collage elements that were already here, much like pages like this, or like this one that I showed, that just have different elements on them that I haven't changed since I worked on it originally, since I made the book. So what was here was these Care Bears stamps, this Monopoly money, this card of some kind up here, some washi tape, this scrapbook paper with the hearts, and this foam stamping here and in here. I then spent about 20 minutes yesterday adding these swirled, essentially flowers, using these super fun paintbrushes from Jane Davenport that have mermaid tails, and just some really cheap craft paints that I had sitting right here. And I really just focused on adding swirls of color, and then, you know, they turned into flowers. I just want to zoom out a little so you can see a little more. Move this out of the way, sorry. But so you can see, I just added these swirls of color, and then I used some pattern paper scraps to create these little bits of leaves. The most important part of that process, and why I'm especially heartbroken the video was lost, is because I talked a lot while I was creating about how I was feeling when I was creating, because it's really what is the magic of art journaling, right? Because I'd been feeling so fearful, as I mentioned, and really struggling with that. And as I worked on this project, the fear just like melted away. It was just gone, all by just making circles and swirls of color. And you know, this double page spread isn't something I'm in love with yet, but it's also not something that's done yet. And I am, like I mentioned, gonna finish it up in this video so we can see what it will end up looking like. But again, is this book ever done? I don't totally know, because it's just that one that speaks to my heart. I did want to show you this page as well. This is one from earlier in our 30 More Days class. And again, things just live here. I like this page a lot. I don't know if it's done or not. This is just a really special book for me. But really what was happening for me while I was creating was that the fear was leaving, and I wasn't feeling fearful. I was feeling whole and healed and safe, and that's why I talk so much about the importance of a daily art practice, because if you can get into this daily, then it's really a way to keep those fearful, depressed, yucky demons out for good. So, because that's what I was kind of focusing on, or my intention as I was creating this, I want to take that theme a little bit further. So, what's funny, you know, when I talk about divine timing a lot, how I think things work out the way they're supposed to, when I paused the video yesterday, I was like, I need to find a focal point image, like some sort of girl or, you know, collage cutout or whatever. I didn't know what I was going to use yet, but I knew I needed a big focal image. And what should arrive in my mailbox today, except this Whimsical Girls book from Jane Davenport. And this is brand new. This actually, the release publication date is today. It arrived right on time from Amazon Prime. Thanks, Amazon. And it's essentially a book of Jane's art to color and cut up. So it's got lots of coloring images and papers and just all kinds of things in here on regular paper, a bunch on craft paper, some in the back here. These are on really thick watercolor paper, and then some pull-out papers that just have this kind of imagery on them, and some stickers. So as I was flipping through it, I found the image I wanted to use right away, and it's this woman here in red. She seems so powerful, totally unafraid, and reminds me a bit of gymnastics and dance, which are both things that bring me a lot of joy and bring my soul a lot of joy. So it's perfect for this particular art journal. So the pages are perforated, so I'm just gonna pull this right out. This is just, I'm breaking this in for the first time. Like many coloring books, you know, I am gonna lose what's on the other side, this image here, but I'm fine with that, especially because she's right here. And you know, I know sometimes people like to, oh, that's a really nice perforation. You know, sometimes perforation like just tears the whole page up, but that pulled out really easily. Anyway, so I just really liked, yeah, I don't mind you losing the other side. I don't have time to worry about that. Some people do copy pages, which for your personal use is usually fine, but you need to double check the copyright rules on all of that. But so I'm just going to cut her out of this page. And yeah, so what I meant by the divine timing is, you know, if that video hadn't crashed yesterday, I would have probably finished it right away instead of working on it today, and then I wouldn't have had this image yet that is really speaking to me and feels just right. So, you know, sometimes things just work out, and I know people can get frustrated, I mean, myself included, when stuff is late or when things aren't going the way we want to, or, you know, just delays from other people or the universe or God, when we feel like we're not getting what we want when we want it. But so often, if we just kind of sit back and trust, the magic will kind of come right on time, so to speak. So I think this is supposed to be cut that way. It's a little unclear. So I'm not sure exactly where I want to place her yet. I think I like her right here on this page. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue her in. And actually, I'm going to cut out this white space here, which many people would do with an X-Acto knife. That will work. I usually do what you just saw me do, which is punch a little hole with my scissors and just cut out the space. I don't often do it, I'm not gonna lie, just because it feels like kind of a pain. But, and I like my creating to be a little more freeform, but, that's what I felt like doing right now, so that's what I'm doing. Welcome to my art process. But you know, that's what's so important, is that, you know, we talk about this a lot in Determined to Shine classes, that it's all about process and not product. So my process will look different from yours, but hopefully it can help you find what feels good to you. So, actually going to move her up a little bit and put her right there. Maybe to the side a little. Okay. So gluing her. And I did just get some glue, you know, through on the page. That'll dry. I'm not too worried about it. Just don't want to shut the book when it's working. So, I think right here is what I like. Awesome. And then I wanted to add a quote. And because I was meditating on fear, and we talked about this a little bit, I think in the video that you've already watched. If not, then I talked about it in the one that didn't survive, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself. But I wanted to use the quote, "I am not afraid, I was born to do this," which is Joan of Arc. So I just wrote it out and put the words in little boxes, and yes, I messed up a couple, and that's fine. So I'm just gonna cut those out. And then those are gonna go on the left here. And actually, just to make things easier. And I just love this quote, because it really speaks powerfully to, like, destiny. And, you know, I really believe that we are all, I just want to hold this open a little bit. I really believe we all have a mission here on Earth that we are called to do, and that we are meant to live in a joyful life. And sometimes it's easy to forget that we were born to do this. And if we can remember that, then things can get a little bit easier, because if we are, how would I put this? Actually, I want to add, I'm going to add some punctuation right there. Sorry, let me just keep cutting. So, we are the most uniquely prepared to bring our own vision for our life to completion. Like, we're not competing with other people. Like, no one can make a better Determined to Shine than me, because it's my vision and my goal. And whatever your goal and vision is, whether it's a business or a book or simply, like, you know, just kind of a way of living or a relationship or whatever is on your heart that you want most in this life, you know, that goal, that vision, that dream was given to you, and you wouldn't have it if you weren't meant to do it. So I really like tapping into that kind of fateful energy. And that doesn't mean like, oh, I don't have free will because I'm just supposed to do whatever, so I have no choice. It's not about that at all. It's about making the choices that make that kind of spirit-driven dream come true, if that makes sense. Okay. And then I did just do one with her name as well. And that's a little curved, but that's a little bit fine. And I might put that down there. Okay, so I'm going to glue these down. Moving them a little bit because they're kind of chaotic there. And this was just copy paper that I used, like just right out of my printer, with this Spectrum Noir black marker, just because it was handy. You know, there are a lot of rules out there about art supplies, what you're supposed to use what on, what kind of glue, what kind of paint, what kind of whatever. And a lot of those tips are really helpful, and I encourage you to learn those things, and I teach some of those things in my other classes. But I think it's most important to play, like, and love your art supplies. Like, don't let them sit around unused because you're like, oh, what if I do that wrong? Because that's just like a joy stealer. We don't have room for any of that in our lives. Takes our shine away. And I do not want to have any shine stealers. We just want things that help us shine more, not less. Okay. Born. Two. Do this. Then I'm gonna put some adhesive on here and put this right down here. And now suddenly that's Joan of Arc. Maybe, maybe not, right? I'm feeling pretty good with this now. It's not quite done to me yet, and I had, these came in the mail actually also today. These are from Anna Griffin. You can buy them on Home Shopping Network, and they are Dresden die cuts. They're these really high quality, thick gold cutouts. They're made in Germany through this process. They were, so you might also hear them called like Victorian scrap films, scrap papers, and they are made using the same process that was used during the Victorian era. So I'm gonna cut out one of these crowns, and you just snip it out of the piece. And I think I want, oh yeah, I wanted to see how she'd look with a crown, and I am loving it. So I'm not quite sure if glue stick is gonna cut it. So I might normally use like a white liquid glue, but I have this quick grip adhesive right here. That's really similar to an E6000 glue if you've used that. So this is a glue that will hold like metal and plastic and anything your heart could desire. So I'm going to use that just because it's handy. You just want to use it in a really well ventilated area because it is really thick and smelly. And then I'm just going to stick that right on her head. Can I pull that down a little? Maybe just a hair. Okay, and other than, looks like this needs just a little more glue down here. On the edge. I am feeling complete for now. And I say it that way just because, again, this book kind of evolves with time. But I love this. I love her. I love the flowers. I love the layers. So many of the really neat art journal looks that we see out there, you know, people think like, oh, I could never do that. It looks so complicated. And really so often it's just about layers and layers and layers. You know, this was a sheet of craft colored wrapping paper. And there was a layer of all these collage bits and the scrapbook paper, and that was Mod Podged. Then I did the layer of the paint circles with the floral trims. Then I added all this. I could Mod Podge all the way across the top of this if I wanted to. I probably won't, just because I don't often finish that way. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I kind of like the top layer being a little more touchable, even if it means that sometimes little bits flick up. When that happens, I just glue them back down, and that's just fine. So that is how this turned out. So I'm excited to see what you create, and what I really want you to do for your page, because I know this prompt is a little more abstract, is just to focus on the feeling that you were feeling when we did the meditation and grounding exercise, and I had you focus on feeling yourself be alive and harnessing that aliveness into your art, like infusing that feeling of I'm here, I'm breathing, and I am meant to do this. I was born to do this. And put it in your art journal and see what happens. This exercise may take a little more time than usual because it's not, again, as super straightforward and fast, but I promise you it will be well worth the time you put in. So sending you lots and lots of love, and I'll see you soon.